Well, since we're reviewing a movie by an ex-Mormon, I have my shoulders out. I feel I should warn you, this movie deals with themes such as self-harm, suicide, demonic possession, and there's a lot. So there's your trigger warning, and it's going to be a long review, and I'm gonna be spoiling things. So there's your other warning, okay? Evil Angel, written and directed by Richard Dutcher, who is known for such films as God's Army and The Singles Ward. Somewhere along the line, fell away from the church. And oh boy, does this film show it. I don't know when about he fell away from the church. The movies God's Army and The Singles Ward are nearly like 20 years old. The first hour of this film feels like that day in gym class where it was time for dodgeball and you realized you were the most hated kid in your whole school. And you were just getting hit left, right. Before you had time to move out of the way or say, I'm out, there was more coming at you. And that is what this film is like in the first hour. We start off with a title sequence, where a young woman is lying on a bed, touching all on herself, and a bad song plays in the background. There's this spot that appears in the right hand corner where it says, "You're not even reading this," and it's like, no, I'm not. Taking a page straight out of Brian De Palma's book. Almost exactly, because hot, sexy woman for what feels like 6 minutes, and then suddenly, scary demon bitch face, much like Brian De Palma did in Dressed to Kill and Carrie. That was a weird guy. Anyway, we cut to some middle-aged white guy in a business suit running the streets of Salt Lake City, even though he doesn't say it's Salt Lake City, but it is Salt Lake City. Just seeing scary demon women faces on every woman that passes him. He's trying to outrun them, and there's this little kid down there that his parents didn't give enough of a shit not to traumatize. He almost got hit by an ambulance, the old man, not the kid. And then he's at the top of a building, and this woman is trying to get him to take her hand and go with him, and she just doesn't know what to do. And then last minute demon face, this little boy that said, "Mommy, it's Batman." Mommy didn't bother to not give the kid permanent PTSD and pull him away before he saw the man fall on a car. But anyway, we don't have time to really think about who this white boy is or why, because the person in the ambulance is our protagonist, and he and his best friend Jenny are going to deliver a baby. And then they quickly deliver the baby, and just as soon as they take this woman, who is like a young woman, to the hospital, oh no, we've got to go again. There's been another young woman that's been stabbed. And then our protagonist, Marcus, sees this woman bleeding out on the floor of this crappy, slummy apartment building. He's all like, I know her. What's her name? It's like, I thought you knew her, Marcus. I thought you knew her. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. They take her to the hospital. She's in the back of the ambulance. She reaches up. She goes to grab his hand. She says, "Marcus, I love you." Then she dies. They try and defibrillate her back to life, and Marcus suddenly becomes enraged because she is dying. But here's the thing. They quickly drop, "Marcus, no, this is just like that hooker across town." What hooker? Where? Was it a week ago? Was it a day ago? Who knows? Time is irrelevant, and the birds are the bourgeoisie. Nothing makes sense anymore. We're all in a simulation. Just hold on, okay? A redheaded woman who, for some reason, wakes up in the hospital, pulls out her oxygen tube, and decides, I'm gonna kill this cute little mixed race couple with a fucking fire extinguisher because it's Tuesday. And then Marcus tries to go insane trying to revive Emma. And call me crazy, I'm not exactly a doctor, but chest compressions on a stab victim? I don't think that works. Anyway, his friend says, hey, want to come have drinks with me and Jenny? And he's like, nah, I gotta get home and catch my wife cheating on me. The next day, or whatever, is the deposition in which we find out Marcus saw a dead prostitute or a comatose prostitute on the floor, saw all the alcohol and drugs and everything everywhere. And so he administered Narcan, which killed her because she was diabetic and going into diabetic shock or something like that. And the people from the place are like, we don't think you meant to kill her on purpose, but you're still suspended without pay. In 5 seconds of a sex scene, we see that Marcus's wife, Carla, has a little bit of a self-harm problem. And her boyfriend breaks up with her, the man she was having sex with, breaks up with her while Marcus is at his deposition or whatever. She goes, she says, it's nothing, it meant nothing, it's over, I'm so stupid. He says, you know, whatever, it just doesn't matter. He decided to leave that night and go spend the night in a hotel for a few hours, and then he decided to go stare at the dead girl's body. Not creepy at all. And then, bam, it's Emma's funeral. Marcus is there. Oh, there's another person, Ving Rhames. His last name is Carruthers. I think his first name is John. And he's there to investigate the death and possible negligent homicide of this woman, the hooker, Elizabeth Markham. And so he goes, tracks down her mother, finds out Lizzie was a total bitch and a psycho who tried to stab her mother. Okay, keep up, because it's still going. Marcus goes to Emma's funeral, gets Emma's personal diary because he speaks Spanish, reads it to Jenny, says he's madly in love with her and she was a virgin and such a great, pure, holy whatever. So there's 2 dead girls, 1 hooker and 1 sweet, innocent virgin. There's this Catholic priest that says God is such a cruel God for allowing Emma to die. And then we see the redheaded woman who decided to just smash the faces in of this cute little couple, going and finding the woman that Ving Rhames just spoke to. I don't know her name. She had an invisible cat, kind of like you maybe been hearing in the back of my thing, that's been making a lot of noise, but you didn't see it. That was kind of annoying, all these cat stock things. I hate that. Don't do that. And the cat started hissing, and then this red-headed woman, unbeknownst to the audience, kills this woman, finishes the job, stabs her in the chest, calls her mom. Ving finds out that this woman, Lizzie, was a prostitute and where she worked and everything. Very quickly, we find out that Ving Rhames, John Carruthers, is a private investigator with his son Victor Carruthers, and they have their own firm. But hey, don't get too attached to him because the redhead's going to straddle him, show her ass a lot, and kill him. And we don't know why. She draws a pentagram on his chest and stabs him right in the chest. And then she decides she's gonna go and she's gonna exact revenge on the prostitutes at the place. So this redheaded woman is just running around killing people. We don't know why. And in the meantime, Marcus is dealing with Carla because while Marcus was putting flowers on Emma's grave, Carla called him and said, goodbye, Marcus. And then she attempted to take a whole lot of pills. Marcus got there, he stuck his fingers down her throat, made her puke, made sure she was okay. His suspension is just miraculously over. He goes back for another night. His best friend, Jenny, is tempting him, saying, I'm in love with you. pulling a whole Taylor Swift, you belong with me type of shit. So they kiss. Carla sees them kiss, and for some reason, there's a television in the bathroom in front of the tub. So Carla sees them kiss, decides she doesn't want to live I can't live if living is without you. You know. And so she pulls the television into the tub. Meanwhile, this redheaded woman is seducing this black girl, Josie, and she says, I don't do chicks, but instead of paying her $50, she's paying her $100. And then she kills Josie's pimp, some Alanis Morissette looking bitch, wraps a fire hose around her neck and then kills her. Some lady with groceries screams. And then Josie manages to get hairspray and fire and burns this woman's face. We find out through conversation with Carruthers' friend that this woman is an elementary school teacher. Her name's Caroline. And then Caroline gets kicked through a shower door and then artery just spurting everywhere. Blood, guts, it's delicious. And then we slow to a pace that is tolerable. Wow. Now, Emma died. Lady woke up. Carla pulled the TV into the thing. Naked. Marcus is an idiot. Okay? I'm going to come out. I'm going to say it. He's a stupid man. They're taking Carla to the hospital. Much like what Emma did. I have some speculation a little bit. Much like what Emma did, she holds his hand and says, Marcus, I love you. And then he thinks this soul of this virginal, beautiful woman has come back to life. And God has given him a special treat. No more of his wife with their messy feelings and her whore ways. He's going to be with a pure, virtuous virgin girl. And so after they're all healed up at the hospital, he takes her home and they have sex, and he's just very convinced a little too easily that a different woman's soul is possessing his wife's body. And so he wakes up the next day to breakfast in bed, and then she says, come join me in the shower. And there's something a little off, because why would a pure virtuous virgin girl be wearing this whore makeup and hoop earrings and giving blowjobs in the shower? So Marcus decides, I'm not going to work today. I'm going to follow my wife. I could have maybe not went to work today and removed the TV from the bathroom, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, Marcus follows her. She's got her hoe makeup on. She's wearing high heels. She's got her hoop earrings. She's wearing lip liner. That's something that nobody does anymore. And it's the same crack house that girl Lizzie was from. Now, Marcus has been cleared of Lizzie's murder because Lizzie's mother, who is dead now, didn't want to press any charges. So he's out and he's looking and he's watching his wife buy something. And he goes to follow her further, but there's this near fatal car accident. No, it's this tiny little collision and whatever. And everybody says, watch what you're doing, asshole. And he loses track of her. So he figures, okay, I guess I'll just go to work. And then he goes to work and then he comes home. She's not home. And he's like, I think I'm gonna have myself some leftovers. She is out at the club, and this scene is very near and dear to my heart, and I'll show you why.
I was falling down!
Yep, that's me. I was so skinny back then. Yes, I was an actress once, and I was an extra on this film, and otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even known about its existence. But we'll get to that. So, she's just putting her ass on display in this bathroom, and then we find 4 stupid boys stupider than Marcus. They just... One of them's got a video camera, and instead of, I don't know, leaving, there's one smart boy, and he's in the stall taking his shit. This was filmed at what was once Club Vortex, which I don't even know what Club Vortex is now. It's not Club Vortex anymore. I'm 35. I don't do that shit no more. And she just kills these people for no reason. Now, Ving Rhames, traumatized over the death of his son. I should be really using his real name. Carruthers, traumatized over his son Victor's death, starts investigating. And here's something I forgot because of the boom, 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 boom. Before the pimp was killed by the redheaded woman, John put together that his son knew the white guy from the beginning that was seeing all the demon bitches, and they were best buddies, and then they were both having sex with this woman named Lizzie, or the white guy was, and then Lizzie was blackmailing him. Now Lizzie's the dead prostitute, just in case I mean you forgot. I forgot. It's a lot. And here's the thing. I don't remember dead white guy's name. We're just going to call him Bruce since the one little kid said his name was Batman. Bruce was being extorted and blackmailed by Lizzie, and then he paid her $20,000. And then John's son, Victor, also paid Lizzie an additional $20,000, and Lizzie was a bad bitch. She would have sex with men without a condom, even though she had HIV. I'm gonna get to how I feel about a lot of this whole everything in a minute. I don't know if this is really all that important, but now you know why, almost know why, the redheaded woman who is dead now killed his son. But not yet. No, not yet. But you start to see a pattern, because now Carla's being a hoe and doing her makeup in much the same way. And and she's just running around killing people for no reason. So Carruthers comes to Marcus's residence, and Carla is cooking some stuff, a big old pot of red sauce. It's always like a big pot of red sauce. They're always like, okay, how did these 2 random people just be able to come up with $20,000 just like that, for one thing? For another, I mean, what sort of bank were these 2 in? Because you can't even usually get a loan, just a signature loan, for no $20,000 usually. Must have been a bookie. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. It's not important. And EMTs have beautiful houses. These great, beautiful houses. Marcus has a pool, and his wife doesn't work. EMTs don't get paid that much. But that's another story for another time. While Marcus was sitting and watching the dead girl, Emma, some guy said, hey, better watch it. You don't want to be like Martineau. So, not wanting to really deal with his cheating whore wife who might be possessed by a demon instead of a sweet virginal girl, he goes and he spends time with Jenny. And Jenny says, you need to talk to Martineau, because Marcus is 100% convinced, as Josie is when she tells Carruthers this, that Lizzie is running around and her soul, she just did not want to go home. She didn't want to go to hell where she belongs. And that's what Martineau says. Martineau says that there can be souls that don't want to go. And he says it in this way where he's like, you could have a nice weekend in the Bahamas and that would be your afterlife. Or if you're a bad person, you've got a regular week in Jersey, regular day of the week in Jersey. So we know how Richard feels about New Jersey. Why? Probably Brunswick. I don't know. I've never been there. But Marcus talks to the guy and he ends up living. He gives him a lot of information. Carruthers has been reading books and everything at this time, and he finds out that it's Lilith, Adam's first wife from the Bible. That's where the ex-Mormon stuff comes in, to where it's like, why didn't you go full send with that, my guy? Why did we have to have this look like it's filmed in New York-ish or some other city that's not Utah? Because the guy who dies in the beginning, he's holding on to a cross that's on top of a building. And I think I can count 4, maybe, buildings in Salt Lake City that have crosses on the top of them. But we're going to get to that. So it's Lilith, Adam's first wife. The story behind Lilith is that she did not want to submit to Adam, and so she left and cursed his name and said God's name aloud. And she's been cursed forever. Kind of like that movie Fallen, where it moves from person to person, but somebody's got to die first for a few minutes, because Lizzie died for a few minutes. Emma died for a few minutes. And I'm wondering, was the demon bitch in Emma? Because Emma's the one that died. Like I'm saying, I don't know when Lizzie died. Was she just kind of waiting around for somebody else? Because Emma died, and then it possessed Caroline. I'm lost. It's okay. It's too much. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand it, but whatever. That's the lore. And so Carla is really mad because Carruthers has figured it out. So she takes a saber off the wall and stabs him in the chest. And then she cuts off his head, and then she puts it in the big pot of red sauce. And Marcus is like, oh, hey, yeah, I need someone to talk to. Let me just get this big pot. Oh my God, there's a head in it. And then Carla tries to kill him. Jenny comes, oh no. Carla went by while Marcus was at work or with Martineau and kidnapped Jenny. Jenny is dangling, duct taped, bound to a lawn chair over the pool. And Martineau gave him silver bullets and stuff, and Carla got the better of him, overpowered him, stabbed him with some sort of thing that she stabbed Victor with in order to incapacitate him. But Marcus has plot armor, so it didn't just make him knock right out, even though he's a lot smaller than the guy who played Carruthers. And all of that. And he keeps missing, and she's mocking him, and I'm like, yeah, because he's stupid. Anyway, long story short, it passes to Jenny. Carla gets shot, it passes to Jenny, and then Lilith says in Jenny's voice that you'll never be able to kill me. I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna enjoy this body until I need a new body, and then I'll arch her eyebrows, give her lip liner, and wear hoop earrings with her too. I just don't understand it. What would I rate this movie? What would I rate this movie that was a lot? It was like 2 hours and something, and you know you can totally find it on YouTube. I think I'll link it below so that you can give it your personal opinion. It has Spanish subtitles and most of the comments are in Spanish. I think I'm gonna just go away from my usual ranking of did it scare me, did it emotionally affect me. I'm not gonna go with 5 stars. I'm gonna go with a classic line from a cinematic masterpiece of either the late 90s or the early 2000s. I can't remember. Sister Act 2. Sorry for sounding so Caucasian when I say this. It was cool for what it was, but it wasn't all that. And that's what I'm gonna go with. It was an ex-Mormon who had fallen away from the church, who had been dabbling in the Bible lore, who was like, you can't control me anymore, and all of that. And had I not been an actress and been in this film as an extra and interested in doing that at one time, and had it not been filmed in Utah, had I not, when I was a good little Mormon girl watching all of the hailstorm crap and knowing who Kirby Hayborn is, had I not been in this type of environment, I would have never been exposed to this film, because you can't find it anywhere. It was filmed in 2006, but the publication date says it's 2009. It doesn't have a Rotten Tomatoes rating. It's got like Letterboxd and that other one that's not IMDb, Metacritic or Metascore. It's about half. It's about like, it's not bad, but it's not good. The acting is decent. Ava Gaudette kind of just owns this. She's the woman who plays Carla. And the woman who plays Caroline J. Seward? I don't know. You'll have to look it up. She does a good job. And the girl who plays Josie does a good job. It always seems like it's never really balanced, is it? In my review of Population 436, I think. I can never remember the exact number of that title. But in my review of that, I said the men were good actors and the women could use a little work. In this one, it's the opposite. Kind of like in my review of the movie I just did last time. I don't remember when I last did a review. I upload whenever I want. So yeah, it was cool for what it was, but it wasn't all that. One tiny little request I wish I could do was, why don't you just have it take place in Utah, my dude? Why don't you have him going to Mormon churches? Because they'd be clueless, because they don't know a lot about saints and they don't like to believe in a lot of demon stuff. They don't like to talk about it at all. Unless it comes to, explaining away your mental illness. But 'tis neither here nor there. And then it would have been different, because as he's leaving Mercy Hospital, I'm just like, no. I have had many an audition at that building. That's Salt Lake Community College. There are no hospitals I can think of in the state of Utah that don't have a small window about the size of my background here and all of that stuff. But I was like, that's a classroom window. That's a giant window. And I just kind of wish he would have went and had made it take place in Utah instead of just being filmed in Utah, because towards the end they freeze and you can tell it doesn't take place in New York, because it's not got a yellow cab or a checkered cab. It's got these weird burgundy and yellow cabs. And in the back it says UTA tracks. And that's just something I wish he would have done, because his Clean Flicks movie, which I'm not sure is a documentary or not, has a higher rating on all of the Letterboxd, the Metacritic, the IMDb, and the Rotten Tomatoes. If you would like to watch this film, I'll link it below, and I'd recommend doing it that way, because to buy it new, which you can't get it in America, you can't get a physical copy of this. I think it's on Blu-ray, but it says on Amazon, Region 2. And results for adult films show up before this one. I don't understand why. I don't really have so much of a desire to look into why, because it's linked below. So, but it's about $60. That's more expensive than the first time I looked at it, where I still couldn't get it. Like a VPN will not get you out of this one. But to buy it like used, it's about $27.99. Editing Allison here to tell you, I was not the girl in the scene with the audible dialogue. I'm the girl that's walking down the stairs in the little red tank top. Also, shameless self-promotion, Allison checking in. I put this on my shirt for a reason, because I'm an author and I took the plunge again, but I feel more confident about this one. I wrote a book. It's called Chenille. It's on Amazon. I'll link it below along with a video talking about the lore of Lilith better than I did, because I gave you the extreme Cliff Notes version. So if what you're into is crazy girls who are like, fuck the system that screwed me over and put me in prison for 10 years for a crime I didn't commit, and you know, fuck my parole officer too, because he's kind of cute, then Chenille is the book for you. It's available on the Kindle and on paperback.